That did, they got quite a bit.
Yeah, that was the deal today. I mean, folks in Austin are saying, what rain? You know, it's the same thing yesterday. Everything stayed to the north. These were not the type of storms that you wanted to be under, unfortunately, given the tornado risk and the hail threat. Tomorrow, though, we want to be clear about this, is going to be different. Going into yesterday and today, we thought this would be more hit or miss, and that was the case. Tomorrow it is not going to be hit or miss. There will be a widespread line of rain and storms that's going to come through. So there's a high likelihood, an 80 to 90% chance for rain in Austin tomorrow. It's going to be different. So we have already issued another weather impact alert for tomorrow. And look, I'm not saying everything's going to be severe tomorrow, but there's going to be another risk for severe weather. This is afternoon into the evening, 3 p.m. to midnight. Large hail, wind, low but not zero chance, as we saw today, for an isolated tornado. And I think the flooding risk goes up a little bit tomorrow. So just keep doing what we've been doing, have a way to get alerts, and with this hail threat, think ahead for your vehicles. I do see the potential for more very large hail tomorrow. Here's the radar right now. Things are starting to wind down a little bit. We're going to get a little bit of a break for tonight into tomorrow morning, but we still have some rain out there, especially the northern tier of our area. And by the way, if this radar stuff looks a little bit fuzzy, that's because the Granger radar actually went down, so we're looking at this from a vantage point. At least the radar's not busy today, right? Bad day for a radar to go down. So here's our severe thunderstorm warning. This is the same area where we were tracking the tornado earlier. Lake Victor, the Ocala area north of Briggs. They just upgraded it, so now it is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. Let's check out the hail course. So look at that. We're getting those purples. Let me cue up some of these numbers for you. Again, these same areas, they've been just training slow-moving hailstorms. This is hail being estimated up to about golf ball size. So in the Ocala area, areas northeast of Lake Victor, this far northern portion of Burnett County, stay hunkered down. This is like your 4th or 5th strong to severe storm. All right. Hello, everybody. KVUE Chief Meteorologist Hunter Williams here with you. We are, for most of our area, the severe threat has ended tonight, but guess where? We're tracking more severe weather. It is northern Burnett County. I mean, I've lost count. We've got to be on like storm 5 or 6 for these areas. It's the same spot, the Ocala area, areas northeast of Lake Victor, the same spot that had the tornado earlier today. I don't have an immediate concern for tornado. The storm is spinning a little bit, but it's another big hailstorm for these areas. So certainly not what anybody wanted to see. So let's go in here and look, we will inspect this and let's zoom in. Again, it's the same areas. We've talked about these spots many times through the day today. Oh, I apologize. Let's zoom in a little bit. So here it is, our warning. This is another considerable warning. Okay, so here are the details on that. It's a severe thunderstorm with the considerable tag. This includes just northern Burnett County until 11:30. So it looks like they're updating that now. And it's the same thing. This thing is just crawling at a snail's pace, and it's moving slowly east. Now, the reason in addition to the hail threat, one of the reasons I want to keep an especially close eye on this, it has a little bit more of that kidney bean look. Now, you would think this area would be worked over. Clearly not. We just had tons and tons of instability. So despite the fact that we've had a number of storms in the same area, this is still a storm that has at least some broad spin to it. Again, it's considerable because of the hail threat. They're not adding the tornado possible tag to this right now, but it's just it's got that look on reflectivity where these are the type of things where when they happen late at night as a meteorologist, you stay here and you watch it just to be on the safe side. So let me take you into the hail risk. So here's the hail tracker, and look at that massive hailstorm, which is just on the north side of Briggs. So let's stop this. We'll go in and we'll zoom in a little bit closer, and we'll go kind of street level as we've been doing for these areas. So here it is, especially north of Briggs up towards Ocala. Again, this is literally like the exact same spot where the confirmed large tornado went through earlier. And by the way, we did get word from the National Weather Service. They will be out surveying this tomorrow, this area. Okay, so let's hop in with the query and we'll see what it's churning out. So, man, when you start to see those reds, that's going to be upwards of 2 inches in diameter. Baseball size hail is what our system is estimating over northern Burnett County between Ocala and Briggs. So if you were impacted by the tornado warned storm earlier today, you have now not a tornado but massive up to baseball size hail, which is moving in, and this really is destructive type hail. So hopefully at this point everybody I would imagine late at night, 11 o'clock, it's been a stormy day. Most folks are probably in for the night, but just stay hunkered down. Hopefully the car is already protected as the storm is moving in. In Briggs, if your car's out somewhere where it's not protected, you have someplace where you can get it indoors, I would do that, although it's possible. In fact, I would say it is maybe more likely this is coming through just on the north side of town, between Briggs and Ocala. I want to show you just the shear tracker. This product did excellent earlier today, pinpointing these areas where the tornadoes were developing. And again, nothing is jumping off the page right now at me saying imminent tornado other than the reflectivity has that kind of healthy look to it. Here's the velocity tracker. And here, we'll zoom out. Earlier, it had my attention. I'll just be honest with you. It had my attention. This is very broad. You can see this kind of broad area of spin here. Let's see if we can get into the... So here's this kind of general area right here. This is the zone we'll watch. I mean, it's the same zone where the hail is falling, right? That's where the meat of the storm is. It's very broad right now, but it's just something that, obviously we're going to need to continue to monitor. Now, these storms, I guess this is the good part. They've been just throwing down some rain. Look at this rain that fell out towards the east side of Lake Buchanan. I believe we still have a flash flood warning in effect for these spots, but this was just a tremendous amount of rain. I would imagine that we do have some hail contamination here. So when you get hailstones, obviously that gives you a giant spike in the reflectivity, and that's what the radar uses to estimate the rainfall rates and everything. So you get some hail contamination here, and it skews the data a little bit. But we have rain gauges that confirmed over 5 inches of rain, up close to 6 inches of rain. And in this zone, I'll show you some of the numbers. The radar is estimating. Oh, all right, here we go. I was doing so good with the hand tracker. All right, so we'll go back here. Estimated rain, and now we'll query some of these numbers. So look at that. 7.6. Wow, 9.2. Again, I'm not saying that 9 inches of rain fell. I think the hail contamination is spiking these numbers, but just goes to show you this was a tremendous amount of rain that fell in these areas. Now as we go over to the current radar, you can see this is the lingering flash flood warning. The rain has moved out of this area though, which is pretty good news. So let's back out and we'll go over to our lone severe storm right now, which is just a monster hail producing storm up towards the Ocala area again. So northern Burnett County. Because it's going east, areas that I do want to watch this, Florence, I want you to watch it. The Florence area, some of the tornado videos that we had sent in earlier today were from Florence. Florence itself was not impacted by the storm, but you were close enough that you were able to see it. So here's Florence, here's Briggs, here's Ocala. Again, I don't know how many times we can say these town names. It's those same spots over northern Burnett County. Florence, I think this is going to pass north of you. It's going to be super close for central Briggs. So the rotation earlier today came through on the west side of town. Now the hail core is up here, and it's going to pass through on the north side of town. So there's the updated scan. Man, it's close. It's close. All right, so as we've been saying today, the hail product, go through here. Come on. Show me the zoom in here. There we go. So the hail product, it lags behind. I tried. The hail product lags behind a little bit. There we go. But the reflectivity obviously is the latest scan. And where you see these pinks and blacks, this right here, that's where the brunt of the hail is right now. So in this zone, this is where the biggest of the hail is right now. So in Briggs, obviously right here on the north side of town, that is where the biggest hail is going to come through. This is on track to track directly through the Ocala area as this is moving slowly east, just at a crawl. The hail core, as we go to the hail tracker, which is slightly delayed, has been just remarkable. Earlier, it was showing up to baseball-sized hail. You can see the way that this is going slowly east. I do want to check in with the National Weather Service, and we'll see what the latest is that they are tracking. The good news, and one of the reasons I especially wanted to watch this storm in particular, a lot of these have been, other than the fact that it's producing massive, massive hail, is it had that look to it where it might try to rotate, and I don't have any indications of a strong rotation or a tornado or anything happening on this storm. They've not added the tornado possible tag to this, but it does have a considerable tag because of the hail threat. Now, here's the motion of this. It is going. So they're saying tennis ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. It is going east at 10. All right, so it's picked up speed earlier. These things were going at legitimately 5 miles per hour, if not like borderline stationary. So it is moving slowly east at 10 miles per hour. So next up, this is going to go in to areas that are north of Williamson County that are outside of our KVUE area. Obviously, we're streaming online, so a lot of folks watching us that might not necessarily be just in our KVUE area. But this storm is going to pass into areas south of Killeen. And these are some areas that have also had quite a bit of stormy weather already today. So what we can do, now that we've got the speed, let's do a storm track on this. So here is, do a squall, and this is going to be the arrival time of the hail and not necessarily of the rain, okay? This is arrival time for the hail core. It's going to take it into Ocala, imminently here in the next, 4 or 5 minutes. It will take it into Briggs imminently here in the next 5-10 minutes. It will take it into Maxdale here by 11:33. So that's a little farther out. That's out of our KVUE area north of Williamson County. So that's the situation with our big hail-producing storm. It is a severe thunderstorm warning with the considerable tag to it. I was worried it might try to rotate a little bit. Looks like that's not the case. Hopefully that remains the case, but it's definitely producing big hail. Just as we keep an eye on it, this is the velocity product. Again, we're going to watch that, but that all looks very broad. This shear product has done really well today. And we're picking up just on light shear. Earlier it was happening. Once you start getting up here into this orange shade, we're seeing, as we use this more and more, when you start getting there, and then especially above, that's when you know, okay, something might be down on the ground. Not seeing any indications of that right now. It's just this big hail-producing storm. That is what this storm is doing. So there's the hail tracker, just a massive hail core up to baseball size, which is coming through northern Burnett County. I think the idea is this is probably going to pass. The reflectivity is going to show this a little bit better, I think. I think the idea, well, I mean, now that I say that, all right, let's play it. Let's watch it loop so we can analyze this together. So, it's trying to reach down to the south again. To be honest with you, it's trying to reach down to the south. So, although the existing warning is north of Williamson County, I definitely want you to watch this in the Florence area. We'll see how long this can hold together. These storms, they pulse up, they pulse down. It's been that way with the tornado threat. It's been that way with the hail threat. It looks like we continue to play that game. So we'll see. Maybe it weakens, maybe it doesn't, maybe it weakens, pulses back up, but either way, it's going like east-southeast now, which doesn't I'm not saying like Round Rock, Georgetown, those areas, but I am saying like in the Florence area, northern Williamson County, this is a storm to watch, especially given the hail that it's producing is just so large. I should probably show you as I talk about the bigger picture. We'll back out the view, and here's what's going on. All this stuff is clutter. So there was no rain at all today in Austin. Second day in a row. There's been big severe weather over parts of the northern hill country and over parts of Williamson County. There was no rain at all in Austin. Now, tomorrow is going to be a very different situation. We've got a front which is coming in, so there's going to be a much more widespread storm chance tomorrow. I think it's going to be different. There's very likely to be rain and storms in Austin tomorrow. But tonight, I don't expect any of the stormy weather tonight in Austin. And outside of northern Burnett County and maybe a sliver of northern Williamson County, there's not much going on right now. Look, I'll back out the view and I'll show you kind of like the statewide picture. Here is the statewide view. So another big complex of storms developed down to our southwest, so that is heading down towards Laredo. There's also some stormy weather in the Texas Panhandle up near Amarillo. And then here in the middle, we got hit or miss storms, which popped up. And the last one that we're dealing with now is the one that is producing big hail in northern Burnett County. And by the way, so we're streaming on YouTube and KVU Plus and all of that. I do not have comments turned on YouTube, but I'm keeping an eye on my X account and on Facebook and my email to hwilliams@kvu.com. Hunt_WX is the handle on all social media, Instagram and Twitter and all that. So if you have any reports from this area, let me know what exactly you're seeing. I'll check in with the National Weather Service. And they don't have any reports. There was an amazing coverage of spotters in this area earlier today when we were covering that tornado warned storm. That was pretty amazing. Again, I was looking back to like the Round Rock tornado, which happened in the spring of 22, I believe. But it's been a while since we had a big tornado like that with chasers on the ground and just ground confirmation. I think it was just really an amazing effort from the National Weather Service, and they were utilizing chasers. We had basically minute by minute, eyes on the storm. So obviously the tornado touched down and it did do damage. The crews will get out there tomorrow and they'll see exactly how strong it was and where it touched down. But I think as far as, hey, if you're going to have a tornado, the ability to cover it, I think the process worked really well. But now these same areas, not dealing with the tornado, dealing with a hail threat, coming in on the north side of Briggs into the Ocala area. And this is kind of our last storm of the night. Part of this is reached down south out of the severe thunderstorm warning area, so we'll see what they do. This existing warning goes for another 30 minutes, but it is getting on the far eastern envelope of it. Man, that new scan, whenever you start to see blacks like that, that is just massive, massive hail. And I don't like that it's coming south. All right, so this is coming into town now in Briggs. You're right on the edge of the severe thunderstorm warning, but this is coming into town now in Briggs. I bet we're going to get an extension of this, which is going to include northern sections of Williamson County. I bet they'll draw up a new warning, and that if something doesn't change, this is heading to Florence with this very, very large, considerable hail core. If something doesn't change, heading into Briggs, heading into Florence and far northwestern Williamson County. I'm keeping an eye on, again, my X page and everything, and trying to keep tabs on reports here. Now that it's dark, we don't have the same we don't have the same ground confirmation of everything and spotters and all that stuff. I apologize, just reading through some stuff. Let's now that we're getting these new radar scans, so let's go in and let's track this again. So all right, so it looks like they just updated there. So they're probably in the process of behind the scenes going through reissuing these warnings and everything. So let's do this. Let's zoom in, and I want to focus in on Briggs because this thing, man, I was hoping it would stay just north. It's not. It's coming into the north edge of town here where you see those blacks. So let's stop it. I apologize. All right, so we'll pause. This is like the top of the reflectivity scale. This is massive hail, which is coming right into the Briggs area, especially on the north side of town. So the tornado came down like this. The hail's coming in like this. Let's go back over to our hail product. And come on. My computer's had it with me today. It said it's enough. I'm done doing hail. Again, look at this. So here's the scale. We're up well over 2 inches. This could be baseball plus size hail coming into Briggs right now. Baseball size hail. This is a destructive storm which is drifting down into the Briggs area. Remember, with this hail product, it's a little bit displaced. I would say bump this up slightly north, and it also runs a minute or two behind, but this gives you an idea of where the destructive hail is. All right, so we'll pause this. Let's punch up the numbers. I bet we're going to get, all right, so there. Come on. We're doing so well with the hand tracking. All right, so there's our hail. Let's go in now with, come on, I'm trying. So here is, that's going to be our darkest color there, baseball size hail. As I mentioned earlier, this is down in the far southern envelope of the severe thunderstorm warning. I would imagine, obviously, tremendously busy day for the National Weather Service. I'd imagine they're in the process of probably drawing up another warning that it doesn't need to go way farther south, but I do think this hail threat is riding the southern edge of the severe thunderstorm warning, which does have implications for, there we go. Okay, so I mentioned this is probably coming. So there we go. All right, we're going old school. This thing's not happy with me. Here is our new warning. And this goes into a much bigger part of Williamson County as this storm, unfortunately, has reached down south again. Now, the southern edge of this warning goes down to Andis, and it goes all the way down to like Sun City. I think it's not a guarantee that those areas get involved with this storm. I think it is likely now that this storm does make it, though, into northwestern Williamson. So the Florence area, I want you to watch this carefully. The 138 corridor and then 190, especially on 195 north of Florence. So now that we've got this new warning, let's check out, let's see what they say about it. Severe thunderstorm warning, northwestern Williamson County, northeastern Burnett County until midnight. At 11:05, a severe thunderstorm was located over Briggs, or 14 miles northeast of Bertram, moving east at 10. Still, it is a slow-moving storm. Tennis ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. People and animals outdoors will be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, siding, windows, and vehicles. So it's a big hail threat. Locations impacted include Georgetown, Jarrell, Florence, Mahomet, Joppa, Watson, Andis, and Briggs. And I heard today I was saying Mahomet wrong. I was saying Mahomet. I apologize. I've been here for coming up on 6 or 7 years, and there's still some of these Texas pronunciations, they get you sometimes. I'm from Alabama. We've got some crazy pronunciations there, but some of these in Texas, I apologize if I ever get a town name wrong. I'm doing my best, and over time I try to learn everything. All right, so here it is, a considerable hail core coming right into Briggs. So it dipped down south, and it's right into town right now. This is tennis ball plus size hail. Tennis ball, baseball size hail, which is coming in to northern Williamson County. Now, here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk back over here to the Weather Center. Give me a second. I'm going to take a seat. Been on my feet a while today. Let's walk back over here. And this is also going to give us access to some of our sky cams. So I'll set things up like this. We'll put radar there, and then we're going to go router there, and here we go. So you can see what the radar looks like. Now, this is our Kalahari cam, and obviously it's dark. We're not going to have an amazing view of this, but we're probably going to get lightning. All right, so let's orient. We are looking across 79 to the north, out towards the Dell Diamond, and there we go. Yeah, I think I found it. There's a view of this thing. It's obviously just lightning off in the distance, but that's our storm. Not an imminent concern for this to just roll into Round Rock. It's going to be well north, okay? So like Sun City North is the part of Williamson County where I'm more concerned about this. And by the way, we also have our tower cam, so I'll put that in. So here is cam 20. So there's our tower cam. This is obviously in Austin, but it's about 2,000 feet in the air, which means you can see a long ways off. So let's orient here, and this is going to be the same thing. We're going to be lightning searching. All right, it's obviously tough when it gets dark. So right now, with those lights you see in front of you, that's downtown Austin. So we're looking east, from West Austin east across downtown. This one cuts off at the tower here. So once we get to the edge, we're going to be looking back northwest. Might just be obscured from clouds. So it looks like this Kalahari cam might be our best vantage point at it. We'll keep, obviously, looking at those things. So let's do this. We're going to go with the 3 box. I'll put max 1, router 1, cam 4. Does that work with you guys? So we'll keep tabs on this, and I'll put Kalahari back in this one. So there it is. You're looking from Round Rock. The storm is not coming to Round Rock. This is well north of there. This is only northern Williamson County. But it's got a big hail core, which is over Briggs as we speak. A hail threat. I know some of these same areas. There was a tornado threat earlier. This is not a tornado threat. This is now a big hail threat. And this is our last storm of the evening. This is the only one that is severe right now, but it is definitely packing a punch. So here was the note when they issued, this was 5 minutes ago, when they issued the new warning. Looks like we have to issue another severe thunderstorm warning for that cell and burn it, as large hail may once again be moving into Briggs. Radar indicates it may be as large as tennis ball size. And that is certainly what we are seeing. So it's a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. That is the second highest level. Unfortunately today, with the magnitude of severe weather we've been dealing with, we have had to explain the levels up the rung that you can go with different types of warnings. And we did this with the tornado warning. So we had a tornado warning. There's the base, right, which just means looks like a tornado is happening, but it's radar indicated. We don't know for sure. Then you have confirmed. That's when a spotter sees it, and there's at least a weak tornado on the ground. So we had that. Then we went up to considerable, which means not only are we sure that a tornado is on the ground, it's a large and dangerous tornado. Then the only step up above that is a tornado emergency, which one of those, I think that product has only been issued, don't quote me on this, I think going back to like 2011. This is relatively recent, like, you know, in the 2000s. Maybe in late 90s at the earliest. But through my research, there's never been a tornado emergency issued for any part of our KVU area, and hopefully that never happens. But what I'm trying to say, they did not issue those during the time that the Gerald tornado happened. Obviously, the Gerald tornado in 1997 would have qualified as that. But so those are the rungs, and it works the same way with severe thunderstorm warnings. So you go from a base severe thunderstorm warning, then you go up to considerable, which is where we're at now. Then there's a rung up above that, which is destructive. And unfortunately, we have had some of those today. But right now, we're at that second rung. So we've got a considerable hail threat, which is in the Briggs area right now. So the hail core, it's over Briggs now. It is over town. This is tennis ball size hail in the Briggs area. Here's the hail tracker. Yep, that is, I mean, it's a direct hit. It's right into town. Briggs has had multiple hailstorms today. Had a close call, at least with the tornado, and it's very possible the tornado did, in fact, touch down at least briefly in the Briggs area, and now it's a massive hailstorm coming in. So stay hunkered down in Briggs. This thing, it's slow moving. It's east at 10, so it's going to hail for a bit. Stay hunkered down. This is damaging hail. And then next up, this is going to go into the next place that needs to watch this closely after, well, that's helpful. The next place that needs to watch this closely after Briggs is Florence. So I will remove that nonsensical arrow. So it's going kind of generally like that. Is it possible it stays just north of Florence? Yes. Is it a guarantee that it stays just north of Florence? No. So if your car is sitting out somewhere and it's not protected in Florence, I know it's the middle of the night, might not be what you want to do right now, but out of an abundance of caution, not a bad thing to do in Florence or any areas along 195 north of Florence, just to make sure that everything is taken care of and that everything outside is as prepared as it can be for the potential for large hail. Maybe it goes north, maybe it weakens, but let's not count on that. This is a big hail core coming into Briggs. So with that in mind, let's go back. So here's the warning. It's going at 10 miles per hour. I'm going to do a storm track on this. And I'm going to be kind of generous with the cone here, just so and this is going to be not for the arrival of rain, for the arrival of hail, okay? So the biggest part of the storm. Again, I'm going to be generous with the southern extent. All right, so we're going at 10. So these areas, so that would take it into Florence. Man, so that would still be like 45 minutes away just because it's going so slow in Florence. Maybe it picks up a little bit more speed, and again, the rain's going to get there before that. This is for the meaner part of the storm, the hail core, and then Maxdale more imminently. Maxdale, by the way, is on more of the northern fringe of this. But Florence, you're the spot. I want to make sure we are watching this. Shear tracker, we just continue to monitor this. No imminent concern for tornado. There could be some gusty winds in here, but this is primarily this is a hail threat. For folks in other parts of our KVU area, it was another day, no rain at all today in Austin. This storm, unless something super weird happens, is not going to come to Austin. This is just northern Williamson County. I don't think the storm is going to come to Round Rock. This is like Sun City North. This is all northern Williamson County. The view on the top right of your screen is our Kalahari cam in Round Rock, so we're seeing lightning off in the distance, but it is very unlikely that the storm gets that far south, so I'm not trying to scare anybody. Checking in with the National Weather Service and all the other chats and social media and everything, making sure we are up to speed on all of our warnings here. I see we've got 187 people watching on YouTube and presumably more who are watching on KVU Plus. We appreciate everybody. If you're in the Briggs area, man, stay hunkered down. I know it's been a rough day of weather. I'm sorry you guys are having to go through this, a tornado threat during the day, then in the middle of the night you have a massive hailstorm. I'm sorry you're having to deal with that, but it's look, that's what's happened. We've had a number of these just slow-moving, massive storms producing hail, and earlier the tornado threat. This is the last one, so once we get this one off the board, I think we'll be quiet for the rest of the overnight. But this is a big one in the Briggs area, tennis ball size hail. So if you guys have any reports of what you are seeing, please let me know. Again, Hunt_WX is my handle on pretty much all social media, or on Facebook. Just search my name, and I'm looking through everything. Yeah, just got a note here on X. Someone is saying Briggs has been very unlucky today. Man, that is an understatement. Okay, so let's go up here. By the way, you can see the lightning that these storms are producing. Let's do a lightning counter. 206 lightning strikes, so that's what we're looking at. These storms, you remember yesterday, for diehard KVU Plus viewers, these storms were producing like over 500 lightning strikes, and this is in a 15-minute span. So this is a smaller storm. It's out by itself, but lone storm producing 200 lightning strikes in a 15-minute span. That's not nothing. That's again an indication of how healthy and how powerful the storm is, the strength of the updraft, and the amount of lightning that it's producing, which obviously is a big part of the hail threat here. Another thing that we can look at here, and this is always an interesting way to look at a storm, is we can do a little bit of a cross section, and this is going to tell us the height of the storm. The height of the storm. Another way just to analyze what the strength of the updraft is like. So if we take this cross section of the storm, you can see the top here is at like 40,000 feet. So you get 40,000 plus feet up in the sky, and this, I did an elementary school talk yesterday. We're talking about how hail happens even on a warm spring day, where it's in the 80s and 90s earlier today. Well, guess what? When you go 40,000 feet up in the sky where planes fly, it's not warm up there anymore. It's much colder. So all those raindrops freezing together in this massive towering thunderstorm. And depending on how strong the updraft is, right? If the updraft is stronger and the storm is stronger, well, it holds the hail up in the sky where it's cold longer. So it gets bigger and bigger, and then eventually, no matter how strong the storm is, eventually the hail gets too heavy and it falls down to the ground. But the stronger the updraft, the longer it's held up in that cold part of the storm, up high tens of thousands of feet above our heads, the bigger the hail core gets. So this storm towering up upwards of 40,000 feet, and that is why we've got the hail core here, which is developed and is producing tennis ball to baseball size hail right over Briggs right now. And then again, next up, I want you to be on guard in Florence. Not a guarantee, but we want you to be on guard in the Florence area. If you're watching us in Milam County, your storm is not severe. Your storm is not severe. I'll show you some of the storm reports from earlier today. These are mainly hail, and they're mainly Williamson County in the northern hill country, but you can also see our tornado report. So it looks like none of the new reports have come in. There were big reports out here. This is a massive hailstorm over Lake Buchanan earlier. Then eventually, it was over the lake forever. I bet. Hopefully everybody was off the lake, so hopefully I don't see any video because no one was out there. But I bet there would have been, if you just magically had a webcam out there, the visual of baseball-sized hailstones plunging down into the open water of the lake, that had to be something. That was a mean storm over Lake Buchanan. Eventually it moved east, did produce some hail here for these communities on the east bank of Lake Buchanan. Had more hail here just north of town in Burnett. It looks like the worst of the hail avoided the areas immediately in town, and then obviously we've just had like 100 different storms now over these areas of more northeastern portions of Burnett County, including the one right now, and then you can see the tornado warning, the confirmed tornado from earlier, which they will survey tomorrow. So that's our storm. Massive hailstorm in Briggs. Stay hunkered down. It's moving east at 10, so it's going to move off of Briggs here in the next little while. But for now, the hail core has kind of hit the brakes, and it is over town right now. And this is the type of hail that dings up cars and cracks windshields and all that stuff. So stay hunkered down. If you live in Florence, out of an abundance of caution, maybe the hail passes north of you. But if you live in the Florence area, or especially if you live north or northwest of Florence, and your car's just sitting out there and you're worried about it and you've got a carport or garage, hopefully it's already in there, but just make sure that's taken care of. And again, guys, I think this is going to be our last storm of the night. We're going to get more storms tomorrow, though. We have issued a weather impact alert day for tomorrow. And what's different about tomorrow is a front is coming in. So that's going to give us a focal point for more widespread storms. It's not going to be hit or miss tomorrow. It's going to be widespread rain and storms, including in Austin. Like, I don't want to, you never want to say it's a certainty, but it's like an 80% storm chance tomorrow. So it's a weather impact alert day for Friday, 3 p.m. to midnight. Mainly it's a large hail risk again, wind. As we saw today, you can't completely rule out an isolated tornado. And I think what ramps up tomorrow is the flood threat. And the reason for that, especially for parts of Williamson County and the northern hill country, there's just been so much rain, not just today, but over the past 2 days. So these areas are saturated. So if we get more heavy rain over these same spots, well, as the ground becomes increasingly saturated, flooding becomes more of a problem. And look, we need rain. I think we all understand that. So these are the totals over the past 12 hours. Look what happens, though, when you expand it out to 24 hours. You add in all those numbers over, you add in all those bigger numbers over Williamson County. By the way, so here's the severe thunderstorm watch graphic. So they've canceled it for all of our area. Again, I really thought during our 10 o'clock show we were watching that storm over far over the Ocala area. And it looked like that would just kind of graze northern Burnett County and then move north. Well, it's done a little bit of a jog down to the southeast, which is why it's gone more directly into Briggs, and it's why northwestern portions of Williamson County are implicated more so in this storm. Before I get you back to the radar, again, I just want to give everybody a heads up for tomorrow. So I'll run you through the latest update of our model, which shows the storm chance. Once we get the storm over Briggs to weaken, it'll be dry, no more severe weather through the overnight. And then as we go into tomorrow, here's 3, some cells starting to pop up. And then for the late afternoon, here's 5, and especially into the evening, it's going to be widespread rain and storms, which are moving in, including in Austin. And I'm not saying all of this is going to be severe, but there's definitely going to be a severe weather threat. Here's 10, here's midnight tomorrow night. And then by Saturday morning, all the stormy weather is going to be gone. But you can see on the storm outlook, it's another level 2 risk. And it's so that's the same level that we had today. And generally, that's what we use for the threshold for our weather impact alert days. I mean, it depends on some other factors, obviously, and forecast confidence. But generally, that's what we use for weather impact alert days. And there's a hatched area. This is what the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, rather, uses to say, hey, significant hail is possible. What does significant hail mean? That means that hail 2 inches or more in diameter. So the type of hail that's happening in Briggs right now, that will be a possibility in some locations tomorrow. We don't want that, but we definitely want the rain. And I think this is going to be a healthy batch of rain. And again, I think it's going to be much more widespread. I'm not saying it's torrential inches of rain everywhere, but I think generally speaking, the like 80–90% of our KVU area is going to get at least a ½ inch of rain, and we're probably going to have many areas that end up with 1 to 3 inches of rain tomorrow. But as I mentioned earlier, that does start to bring in the flood risk a little bit. So here's the flood outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. This one, instead of going 1 to 5, goes 1 to 4. So it's level 2 out of 4, a slight risk for flooding. So there's our weather impact alert day. I'll show you the 7-day for tomorrow. Weather impact alert day, 80% chance for storms, afternoon, evening, Friday. Much quieter over the weekend. Honestly, guys, this weekend forecast looks really nice. It's going to be a little cooler in the low 80s. And then I think we pretty quickly get back into rain chances around Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. And at least on some of those days, I would say those rain chances are likely to go higher. So that is an overview. So back to the radar. Here is our storm, which still is producing big hail, tennis ball size hail over Briggs. All right, so there's an update. All right, finally, it's still producing big hail, but the reflectivity came down a little bit, and Briggs, you're close. Hold on another minute or two. This is going to move off of town, and it looks like, let's zoom in closer. You know, we've seen these things change, but it looks like the worst of this may go north of Florence. I've said that before, and then the storm reaches down south and it develops a new hail core. So again, there is a broad severe thunderstorm warning that goes all the way down to Andis and to the north side of Sun City. So, you know, still have respect for this storm, but the way the hail core is tracking right now looks like that's going to graze north of Florence and then just kind of right along the Williamson County line. So it's going to be north of, you know, a lot of folks obviously watch us in Leander and Georgetown and Round Rock. I don't think this storm is going to be a factor for you. It's going to stay north. So if you look out the window right now, you're probably getting lightning in those areas, but this is just far northern Williamson County. Florence is one of those main spots that is closer to this, so we'll keep an eye on this in Florence, but I think the hail core, which is denoted here in these pinks and blacks, it is now lifting out of Briggs finally. Briggs is like, thank goodness, and this is going to hit this intersection here of Burnett and Williamson County, and then I think this is Bell County up north of our KVU area. So that's the old warning. That is going to drop off in 2 minutes. So we'll stay live here for a while longer. Again, we're trying to keep everybody informed. So this is going to drop off soon. And then we'll see what they do with this other warning. We've just got it's a busy map right now with all these warnings. So let's wait. Let's wait another 30 seconds and we'll watch this live and we'll see how these warnings reshuffle here. Again, I'm watching the YouTube and everything here. We appreciate everybody staying with us. And look, I just want to say about this forecast, it's obviously been busy. This has been just it's been a very tricky pattern to forecast where we have like hit or miss storms, but where the storms hit, they're like super severe. It just gets a little rough to forecast for, so I apologize for the areas that have gotten really significant severe weather. And then meanwhile, a lot of people in Austin are like, well, where's the rain? There's been literally no rain over much of the Austin metro. Again, tomorrow there's going to be more widespread rain and storms. But anyways, I just wanted to say I know this is kind of a tough forecast pattern. And this is, look, we're no stranger to this here in late April, early May here in Central Texas. This is a relatively normal weather pattern, but it doesn't make it any easier to plan your life around. Okay, so there it is. We just crossed over 11:30. So now we're left with just this lone severe thunderstorm warning, which goes until midnight for northeastern Burnett and then far northern Williamson County. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's knock on wood. In Florence, it's possible the worst of the hail could graze just north, and it's going to be close. As the crow flies right now from dead center of Florence, the hail core is 6 or 7 miles to your northwest. Again, so I'm not saying this is like a huge margin for error here, but we'll see if that hail core can just graze by just north like that. As I mentioned, that hail product, it lags behind a little bit. This is the zone. This is where the biggest hail is right now. Just got an update. So that's where the hail is right now. That could be tennis ball size plus. For the Andis area, and then down into, Sun City, it's, the 195 corridor south of Florence, I think the odds of you getting big hail from this storm are decreasing. Again, this is mainly Florence, points north. It's the far northern portions of our KVU area. I know the warning goes down south of that, but I would say odds are the worst of this, and maybe the whole storm, is not going to impact places like Andis and Sun City. Now, look, later down the line, let's still keep an eye on Gerald, right? We could, if this thing holds together, it could still graze the county line and still make it down closer to the Gerald area, which would be closer to midnight or so. So we'll watch that potential. But look, so that is kind of the situation right now. So I think what I might do is we'll take a quick break, and I'll get you back to the radar loop. And obviously I'm still here. I'm watching things here. I'm going to go talk to production and get everybody squared away and everything. But I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back here in just a couple of minutes. So let me get this pulled up. And what you're going to see is a live radar loop, and then it's my forecast from the 10 o'clock show. So there's some radar stuff in here that's not, there's some radar stuff you're going to see that's not completely
Then we have rain, but not severe
current,
stuff as you go into
but just
Milam
understand
County,
that, then it'll get into the forecast, then you can see the live radar loop on the top right. All right, we'll be back in just a minute.
A lot of people in Austin saying, we can't buy a raindrop. We've had all sorts of rain to the north, but it has not made it down into the metro yet. I want to take you out to Burnett County, though. This is pretty remarkable. Now, these are radar estimates, and I think some of this has been contaminated by hail that can make these rainfall estimates go up a little bit higher than reality. But we are estimating 7 inches plus of rain. We have rain gauges that are at least up close to 6 inches of rain. So a ton of rain here in Burnett County, and a lot of this is in the Lake Buchanan watershed. So that is good news, but that did create some flooding issues in addition to the hail threat for those areas. Now, as we go over the next couple of hours, all the storms are going to come to an end, including over northern Burnett County, and it's going to be quiet overnight. We're not going to have new storms that develop tonight. We're just going to have low clouds. It's going to be warm and muggy tomorrow morning. The first half of the day tomorrow, all dry, all good, but as we go to the afternoon, about the same time we started to see things bubble up today, things will start to bubble up tomorrow, and at first it's these little hit or miss cells. We'll have to watch these. They could start to spin, so we'll watch that as early as about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Here comes the more widespread stuff, 5 o'clock. First, northern I-35 corridor again and the hill country. But again, this is why it's a different rain chance tomorrow. As the front comes through, that's going to give us a mechanism for all these storms, not just to go up and sit over the same spot, but to develop into a complex of storms and become widespread. So 7, 8 o'clock, this is looking rainy, stormy, not necessarily all severe, but looking pretty strong and maybe some severe weather as we go to 8, 9 o'clock, including in the Austin metro. Rain on the backside of this heading into 10 o'clock. Still some rain exiting out of our southeastern areas at midnight. And then tomorrow night, all the rain's going to move out. And by Saturday morning, it's dry. It's going to be a much quieter weekend, but actually cooler. Highs upper 70s, low 80s for Saturday and Sunday. Here's our Friday storm outlook, a level 2 again. It is mainly a hail threat, another hatched area. That means significant hail, 2 inches or more in diameter, will be possible. We obviously don't want the hail, but we do want widespread beneficial rain. I think anywhere from a ½ inch to 3 inches of rain is possible with locally higher amounts. You can see the Friday flood outlook is also a level 2 out of 4. So it's a severe threat and a flood threat. That is why we have a weather impact alert day for tomorrow. We'll do the same thing. We'll be streaming on KVU Plus all day long. We'll keep you covered. 80% tomorrow. Drier, quieter, a little cooler over the weekend. And as we mentioned, rain is coming back around the middle into the end of next week, especially around Tuesday and Wednesday.
Thank you.
They got quite a bit.
Yeah, that was the deal today. I mean, folks in Austin are saying, what rain? You know, it's the same thing yesterday. Everything stayed to the north. These were not the type of storms that you wanted to be under, unfortunately, given the tornado risk and the hail threat. Tomorrow, though, we want to be clear about this, is going to be different. Going into yesterday and today, we thought this would be more hit or miss, and that was the case. Tomorrow it is not going to be hit or miss. There will be a widespread line of rain and storms that's going to come through. So there's a high likelihood, an 80 to 90% chance for rain in Austin tomorrow. It's going to be different. So we have already issued another weather impact alert for tomorrow. And look, I'm not saying everything's going to be severe tomorrow, but there's going to be another risk for severe weather. This is afternoon into the evening, 3 p.m. to midnight. Large hail, wind, low but not zero chance, as we saw today, for an isolated tornado. And I think the flooding risk goes up a little bit tomorrow. So just keep doing what we've been doing, have a way to get alerts. And with this hail threat, think ahead for your vehicles. I do see the potential for more very large hail tomorrow. Here's the radar right now. Things are starting to wind down a little bit. We're going to get a little bit of a break for tonight into tomorrow morning, but we still have some rain out there, especially the northern tier of our area. And by the way, if this radar stuff looks a little bit fuzzy, that's because the Granger radar actually went down, so we're looking at this from a vantage point. At least the radar's not busy today, right? Bad day for a radar to go down. So here's our severe thunderstorm warning. This is the same area where we were tracking the tornado earlier, Lake Victor, the Ocala area north of Briggs. They just upgraded it, so now it is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. Let's check out the hail core. So look at that. We're getting those purples. Let me cue up some of these numbers for you. Again, these same areas, they've been just training, slow-moving hailstorms. This is hail being estimated up to about golf ball size. So in the Ocala area, areas northeast of Lake Victor, this far northern portion of Burnett County, stay hunkered down. This is like your 4th or 5th strong to severe storm of the day, but stay hunkered down. This eventually is going to lift up to the north. Then we have rain, but not severe stuff as you go into Milam County, and then Lee County now is in the process of trending drier. As we mentioned, man, a lot of people in Austin saying, we can't buy a raindrop. We've had all sorts of rain to the north, but it has not made it down into the metro yet. I want to take you out to Burnett County, though. This is pretty remarkable. Now, these are radar estimates, and I think some of this has been contaminated by hail that can make these rainfall estimates go up a little bit higher than reality. But we are estimating 7 inches plus of rain. We have rain gauges that are at least up close to 6 inches of rain. So a ton of rain here in Burnett County, and a lot of this is in the Lake Buchanan watershed. So that is good news, but that did create some flooding issues in addition to the hail threat for those areas. Now, as we go over the next couple of hours, all the storms are going to come to an end, including over northern Burnett County, and it's going to be quiet overnight. We're not going to have new storms that develop tonight. We're just going to have low clouds. It's going to be warm and muggy tomorrow morning. The first half of the day tomorrow, all dry, all good, but as we go to the afternoon, about the same time we started to see things bubble up today, things will start to bubble up tomorrow, and at first it's these little hit or miss cells. We'll have to watch these. They could start to spin, so we'll watch that as early as about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Here comes the more widespread stuff, 5 o'clock. First, northern I-35 corridor again and the hill country. But again, this is why it's a different rain chance tomorrow. As the front comes through, that's going to give us a mechanism for all these storms, not just to go up and sit over the same spot, but to develop into a complex of storms and become widespread. So 7, 8 o'clock, this is looking rainy, stormy, not necessarily all severe, but looking pretty strong and maybe some severe weather as we go to 8, 9 o'clock, including in the Austin metro. Rain on the backside of this heading into 10 o'clock. Still some rain exiting out of our southeastern areas at midnight. And then tomorrow night, all the rain's going to move out. And by Saturday morning, it's dry. It's going to be a much quieter weekend, but actually cooler. Highs upper 70s, low 80s for Saturday and Sunday. Here's our Friday storm outlook, a level 2 again. It is mainly a hail threat, another hatched area. That means significant hail, 2 inches or more in diameter, will be possible. We obviously don't want the hail, but we do want widespread beneficial rain. I think anywhere from a ½ inch to 3 inches of rain is possible with locally higher amounts. You can see the Friday flood outlook is also a level 2 out of 4. So it's a severe threat
and a flood threat. That is why we have a weather impact alert day for tomorrow. We'll do the same thing. We'll be streaming on KVU Plus all day long. We'll keep you covered. 80% tomorrow. Drier, quieter, a little cooler over the weekend. And as we mentioned, rain is coming back around the middle into the end of next week, especially around Tuesday and Wednesday.
Thank you.
They got quite a bit.
Yeah, that was the deal today. I mean, folks in Austin are saying, what rain? You know, it's the same thing yesterday. Everything stayed to the north. These were not the type of storms that you wanted to be under, unfortunately, given the tornado risk and the hail threat. Tomorrow, though, we want to be clear about this, is going to be different. Going into yesterday and today, we thought this would be more hit or miss, and that was the case. Tomorrow is not going to be hit or miss. There will be a widespread line of rain and storms that's going to come through. So there's a high likelihood, an 80 to 90% chance for rain in Austin tomorrow. It's going to be different. So we have already issued another weather impact alert for tomorrow. And look, I'm not saying everything's going to be severe tomorrow, but there's going to be another risk for severe weather. This is afternoon into the evening, 3 p.m. to midnight. Large hail, wind, low but not zero chance, as we saw today, for an isolated tornado. And I think the flooding risk goes up a little bit tomorrow. So just keep doing what we've been doing, have a way to get alerts. And with this hail threat, think ahead for your vehicles. I do see the potential for more very large hail tomorrow. Here's the radar right now. Things are starting to wind down a little bit. We're going to get a little bit of a break for tonight into tomorrow morning, but we still have some rain out there, especially the northern tier of our area. And by the way, if this radar stuff looks a little bit fuzzy, that's because the Granger radar actually went down. So we're looking at this from a vantage point. At least the radar's not busy today, right? Bad day for radar to go down. So here's our severe thunderstorm warning. This is the same area where we were tracking the tornado earlier. Lake Victor, the Ocala area north of Briggs. They just upgraded it, so now it is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. Let's check out the hail core. So look at that. We're getting those purples. Let me cue up some of these numbers for you. Again, these same areas, they've been just training, slow-moving hailstorms. This is hail being estimated up to about golf ball size. So in the Ocala area, areas northeast of Lake Victor, this far northern portion of Burnett County, stay hunkered down. This is like your fourth or fifth strong to severe storm of the day, but stay hunkered down. This eventually is going to lift up to the north. Then we have rain, but not severe stuff as you go into Milam County, and then Lee County now is in the process of trending drier. As we mentioned, man, a lot of people in Austin saying, can't buy a raindrop. We've had all sorts of rain to the north, but it has not made it down into the metro yet. I want to take you out to Burnett County, though. This is pretty remarkable. Now, these are radar estimates, and I think some of this has been contaminated by hail that can make these rainfall estimates go up a little bit higher than reality. But we are estimating 7 inches plus of rain. We have rain gauges that are at least up close to 6 inches of rain. So a ton of rain here in Burnett County, and a lot of this is in the Lake Buchanan watershed. So that is good news, but that did create some flooding issues in addition to the hail threat for those areas. Now, as we go over the next couple of hours, all the storms are going to come to an end, including over northern Burnett County, and it's going to be quiet overnight. We're not going to have new storms that develop tonight. We're just going to have low clouds. It's going to be warm and muggy tomorrow morning. The first half of the day tomorrow, all dry, all good, but as we go to the afternoon, about the same time we started to see things bubble up today, things will start to bubble up tomorrow, and at first it's these little hit or miss cells. We'll have to watch these. They could start to spin, so we'll watch that as early as about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Here comes the more widespread stuff, 5 o'clock. First, northern I-35 corridor again and the hill country. But again, this is why it's a different rain chance tomorrow. As the front comes through, that's going to give us a mechanism for all these storms, not just to go up and sit over the same spot, but to develop into a complex of storms and become widespread. So 7, 8 o'clock, this is looking rainy, stormy, not necessarily all severe, but looking pretty strong and maybe some severe weather as we go into 8, 9 o'clock, including in the Austin metro. Rain on the backside of this heading into 10 o'clock. Still some rain exiting out of our southeastern areas at midnight. And then tomorrow night, all the rain's going to move out. And by Saturday morning, it's dry. It's going to be a much quieter weekend, but actually cooler. Highs upper 70s, low 80s for Saturday and Sunday. Here's our Friday storm outlook, a level 2 again. It is mainly a hail threat, another hatched area. That means significant hail, 2 inches or more in diameter will be possible. We obviously don't want the hail, but we do want widespread beneficial rain. I think anywhere from a ½ inch to 3 inches of rain is possible with locally higher amounts. You can see the Friday flood outlook is also a level 2 out of 4. So it's a severe threat and a flood threat. That is why we have a weather impact alert day for tomorrow. We'll do the same thing. We'll be streaming on KVU Plus all day long. We'll keep you covered. 80% tomorrow. Drier, quieter, a little cooler over the weekend. And as we mentioned, rain is coming back around the middle into the end of next week, especially around Tuesday and Wednesday.
Thank you.
They got quite a bit.
Yeah, that was the deal today. I mean, folks in Austin are saying, what rain? You know, it's the same thing yesterday. Everything stayed to the north. these were not the type of storms that you wanted to be under, unfortunately, given the tornado risk and the hail threat. Tomorrow, though, we want to be clear about this, is going to be different. Going into yesterday and today, we thought this would be more hit or miss, and that was the case. Tomorrow it is not going to be hit or miss. There will be a widespread line of rain and storms that's going to come through. So there's a high likelihood, an 80 to 90% chance for rain in Austin tomorrow. It's going to be different. So we have already issued another weather impact alert for tomorrow. And look, I'm not saying everything's going to be severe tomorrow, but there's going to be another risk for severe weather. This is afternoon into the evening, 3 p.m. to midnight. Large hail, wind, low but not zero chance, as we saw today for an isolated tornado. And I think the flooding risk goes up a little bit tomorrow. So just keep doing what we've been doing, have a way to get alerts, and with this hail threat, think ahead for your vehicles. I do see the potential for more very large hail tomorrow. Here's the radar right now. Things are starting to wind down a little bit. We're going to get a little bit of a break for tonight into tomorrow morning, but we still have some rain out there, especially the northern tier of our area. And by the way, if this radar stuff looks a little bit fuzzy, that's because the Granger radar actually went down, so we're looking at this from a vantage point. At least the radar's not busy today, right? Bad day for a radar to go down. So here's our severe thunderstorm warning. This is the same area where we were tracking the tornado earlier. Lake Victor, the Ocala area north of Briggs. They just upgraded it, so now it is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. Let's check out the hail course. So look at that. We're getting those purples. Let me cue up some of these numbers for you. Again, these same areas, they've been just training, slow-moving hailstorms. This is hail being estimated up to about golf ball size. So in the Ocala area, areas north. All right, hello everybody. So just wanted to hop on real quick. We're about to wrap up our radar stream. The severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for northeastern Burnett, northern Williamson County. Still, the storm is there, but the hail signature has come down quite a bit, and this thing looks like it's kind of on its last leg. You can see the lightning really collapsing, so as the lightning strikes go down, it gives you an indication the storm is weakening. So I think this will probably be our last storm of the night. We'll keep an eye on it, but I think this is probably going to be it for tonight. As we mentioned, though, I expect things to be stormy again tomorrow. In fact, maybe even more stormy. I do think it's going to be more widespread stormy weather for tomorrow. Real quick, we'll just go through the day 2. So here is the Friday storm outlook. It's a level 2 risk, another weather impact alert day. Here's the tornado threat. Kind of like today, do I expect there to be, multiple long-track tornadoes? No, but do I think there's a tornado risk? I do. It's a 2% tornado risk across our entire KView area for the afternoon and the evening tomorrow. Then here's the wind outlook. That's a 10%. That is a 10%. And then the main threat tomorrow is going to be very large hail again. We've got a hatched risk, which means that significant damaging hail will be possible, 2 inches or more in diameter. So that's the situation. Things winding down tonight. We will take a break. Casey Sherman and Jordan Derensberg will be in tomorrow, and they will be covering the weather for you tomorrow. I believe Casey is going to be out live. We've got a community event going on, but Jordan will be handling the weather, so we'll get you updated on the forecast with another weather impact alert day. And then I will be in for the afternoon, and we will have you covered for any hail, tornado, flood risk, anything that unfolds tomorrow. We'll be here on KView Plus and live on KView, of course, throughout the day. All right, y'all have a good day. I will talk to y'all later. Have a good night.